All right. Let's jump into something I know we've all been thinking about. How to really set students up for success in their careers, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
we're looking at this excerpt about potential dissertation topics
Right.
focused on education and
Yeah.
getting ready for the workforce.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a question that never really goes away,
No.
but this source has some new angles that I think you'll find really interesting.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Okay.
It does.
So what is it about this source that makes it stand out to you?
Well, it doesn't just say, hey, the education system needs to change.
Right.
It actually digs into how to do that, how to change it.
Okay, yeah.
It argues that just memorizing things isn't really enough anymore.
Mhm.
It talks about weaving career exploration right into what's being taught.
So, like, instead of just reading about history in a textbook,
Yeah.
students could actually get a feel for what it would be like to be a historian.
Exactly.
I love that.
Like a try before you buy for careers. Almost.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
That's what they call project-based learning in this source,
Okay.
where students do things that are like real jobs. Like,
Interesting.
imagine a history class where instead of just memorizing dates, they're designing a museum exhibit
Oh, wow.
or even creating a documentary.
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
And it would make so much more sense, right? Because it's one thing to understand a concept, but it's a whole other thing to actually apply it.
Yeah.
And that actually brings us to another key point from this source.
Yeah.
The emphasis on experiential learning.
Yes. We hear that term a lot.
We do, but I'm not sure we always fully grasp what it means.
It's really about going beyond just the book and getting hands-on.
Yeah.
This source specifically talks about things like internships, mentorships, apprenticeships, those kinds of experiences where you really immerse yourself.
Right. So it's not just shadowing someone for an afternoon.
No, not at all.
It's about really diving in
Yeah.
and getting your hands dirty.
Exactly.
But wouldn't that be a pretty big change in how we do education?
It would be a shift.
Yeah.
This source actually brings up research showing that internships can really boost how much people earn later on.
Wow.
But it also talks about the problem of unpaid internships and how that can make things harder for some students.
Yeah, that's an important point.
It is.
So we need a system that has strong academics, but also those real-world experiences.
It's about finding that balance.
Yeah, finding that balance.
Yeah.
And that actually makes me think about the idea of partnerships.
Oh, yeah.
Which this source also talks about quite a bit.
It does.
What are some of your takeaways from that section?
It basically argues that schools, businesses, and industry leaders need to work together. And not just to offer internships or job shadowing, but to actually shape what's being taught in schools.
Like have businesses help schools develop the actual courses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's really like a co-creation process.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, think about it. You have industry experts involved in making the curriculum that would go a long way towards closing the gap between what's taught in the classroom and what's needed in the workplace.
That's so important.
Yeah, it is.
But it sounds like this source doesn't just put the responsibility on schools and businesses.
No, it doesn't.
It also talks about students taking charge of their own future.
Absolutely.
It's about giving them the tools they need to create their own path.
Yeah, you're not just handing them a map.
Right.
You're teaching them how to read a compass.
That's a great way to think about it.
It's about helping them understand what they like, what's important to them, what they're good at, maybe through career counseling or personality tests.
I mean, there are so many resources out there now.
There are.
You've got online platforms that can connect students with people who are already working in different fields.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You've got aptitude tests, all sorts of things.
And that part about understanding what they're good at is really key because the job market is always changing.
Always changing.
So they need to be ready to adapt, learn new things, and maybe even change careers a few times throughout their lives.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not like it used to be.
So as we wrap things up here, what do you think is the biggest takeaway from this source?
I think the biggest takeaway is that we can't just make a few small changes to connect school and careers better. We really need to change how we think about education as a whole.
Yeah, it needs to be a big picture shift.
Yeah, a systemic shift.
Absolutely. I mean, we need to move beyond rote learning.
Yes.
We need to really embrace experiential learning. We need to build strong partnerships between schools and businesses.
Definitely.
And we need to help students become active participants in shaping their own future.
Yeah, that's so important.
But this actually leaves me with a question for you, listener.
Okay.
How do you think you can contribute to making these changes happen. Maybe it's mentoring someone younger than you.
Yeah.
Maybe it's advocating for better programs in your community. Or maybe it's just having conversations about career paths with the young people in your life.
Absolutely.
Because even small actions can make a big difference.
They really can.
And that's what it's all about, right?
That's what it's all about.
All right, that's it for this deep dive.
Thanks for listening.
We'll catch you next time.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.